Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 131 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today and all this month we're talking about finances, our financial health and well-being. And today's topic is expenses. We're going to talk about 4 different categories of expenses. We're going to talk about how to go about tracking and managing and categorizing your expenses. And I'll give a couple of real life examples of what people are doing to track their expenses. Why do we want to do this? Because just like we talked about income yesterday and what comes into our life financially, we need to keep track of what goes out of our life financially. And I will say this is one of the areas that I find the vast majority of people that I work with do not pay attention to. They just don't pay any attention to it. They know what they're making for income, they're just spending, and a lot of times this is where we get into trouble because we're not paying attention to it, we're not managing it, we're not doing it on purpose and intentionally. Therefore, we find that a couple of categories of expenses can really give us shocks when we actually start paying attention to them. So I'm going to encourage you, and part of our action item today is going to be to ask yourself, am I tracking all of my expenses? Am I categorizing them? Am I looking at them on a regular basis? And am I choosing what it is that I want to spend my resources on? Because all of us, even if you're a billionaire, sometimes we have limited resources in terms of what we will and will not spend on. We want to align that with our goals and values and our core beliefs and core values, and that's why we talk about those early in the month. So, what are some categories of expenses? Number 1, fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are the things we spend money on every single month, and it's pretty much the same every single month. I think of things like my rent or my mortgage payment. That's a fixed expense. Car payments or leases are fixed expenses for a certain period of time. Of course, both of these. Health insurance premiums, subscriptions to things like Netflix, gym memberships, lessons for the kids, whatever it might be. If it's a certain amount every month, that goes into the fixed amount category. When I track it, I put in what it is, and then is it going on until I cancel it? That would be infinity symbol. Or is it going on to a specific date? And then I actually use spreadsheets, and I'll put the date in that it ends or renews automatically, so that every time it renews. So for example, Amazon Prime renews automatically every year. Microsoft software and online software subscriptions renew every year, and they do it automatically, but I want to know when that is, so I'm making sure I'm accounting for it in my personal accounting practices. Second is variable expenses. Variable expenses are things like utility bills because they are dependent on your usage. Groceries vary a little bit every month. Gasoline, how much do you spend on gas and transportation or on your vehicle for things like oil changes and things. And then entertainment and dining out falls under variable expenses because we do not have to entertain and we do not have to dine out all the time, right? We don't have to do that. We do have to eat, but we don't have to dine out. Third, discretionary expenses. These are the non-essential things that we choose to spend our money and our resources on because we want to, because they give us some kind of a benefit, or we wouldn't do it. Luxury items such as designer clothes, expensive gadgets, super deluxe computers and cell phones, etc., unless you're using them for your business or your work. Hobbies such as art supplies, concert tickets, whatever it is that you happen to be interested in. Those are things that we don't have to spend money on, but we really like to spend money on because they're fun. Entertainment and things, going to movies, going to shows, going to the theaters, going to plays, going to ballet, going to whatever it is. Those are interesting and fun, but do we have to do them? Travel and expenditures or vacations. Guess what? There are people I know that have never been on a vacation. There are people that I know that just don't choose to go on a vacation because they'd rather build their business than go on a vacation. So travel and vacations are discretionary. It's up to the individual to decide if that's something that's important enough to them. They want to spend their resources on it. And then excessive dining out or coffee shop visits is another example because people think that they'll get the coffee shop habit and they think that it's a necessity. Let's be really honest. You can have a Keurig at home and make a coffee before you go to work every day and add your stuff to it, and you don't have to spend $6 on a cup of coffee. Although I don't even know what cups of coffee cost now in the coffee shop. It might be more than that. And then, of course, the fourth category of expenses is emergency and unexpected expenses. And this is the one that gets people the most often because we don't know what life's going to throw at us, right? Who hasn't had a medical emergency, a car accident, a car expense, a car breakdown that was unanticipated, home improvements? We had a little flood in our basement the other week, and nobody had planned on that. It had to drop everything and fix it. Same thing with our health. Your health, your car, your kids, your home. If something goes wrong with any of those things that you didn't plan for, and we have home insurance if there's a storm or something that causes damage, and we can hire it repaired and fixed. But sometimes there's things that we just have to do ourselves. Guess what? Sometimes a refrigerator breaks. Sometimes a water heater breaks, whatever. So those would fall under those expenses. Unexpected travel expenses due to a family emergency. I've had those where I have to fly down and go stay with my mom for a while because she's having some major health challenges. So how do we categorize and track expenses? Number one, we set up categories. I like to set mine up fixed, variable, discretionary, and emergency. And I will talk about emergency funds another day. Secondly, we use tools for tracking. You can do it manually. You can do it using budgeting apps. There's a gazillion budgeting apps now. There's a lot of things. We can use our bank statements, but they don't really categorize things. Now credit card statements categorize things, but that's a whole other story that we'll talk about. And then the third step is to make sure that you're doing regular reviews of your finances. And then finally, compare your income to your expenses and set limits on what you'll spend in each of the different categories, right? Save and put something in your savings in your emergency fund. I believe in paying yourself first, so pay yourself first, and just whatever that limit is, 20 to 30%, put that aside immediately. We'll just talk about Emily's story because I hear one of my granddaughters. I'm going to pause 1 second. Maybe. I guess I'm not going to pause. I don't know how to do it. Let's talk about Emily. She's a single professional focused on saving for a home. Her primary goal is to save for a down payment on a house. So how she manages in her expense management strategy is to use a budgeting app to track her expenses, and then she divides her spending into fixed, variable, and discretionary. Fixed includes rent, utilities, and insurance. Remember, she's saving for a home. Variable, groceries, gas, and transportation. Discretionary, dining out, travel, and clothing. She tracks her spending weekly and reviews her discretionary spending every month. By limiting her dining and travel expenses, she can allocate more toward the down payment fund, contributing 30% of her income directly to savings. So, example of the power of having a goal and something that you want more than you want to eat out every night, right? All right, that's it. We are going to categorize and track our expenses starting today. If you're not doing it, we're going to actually open those bills, pay attention to our expenses, pay them on time. Guess what? If you don't pay them on time, you're just paying more and more interest. All right, that's it. Any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.